Everyone was screaming. 12 cars twisted together on icy Highway 71, gas leaking everywhere, people trapped, winter storm making rescue impossible. The mechanic who stopped to help should have been just another bystander. But Mike Sullivan wasn't just any mechanic. And what happened in the next 15 minutes would prove that sometimes the right person shows up at exactly the right time. But this story didn't start on that icy morning. It started 12 years ago in Iraq, 2 meters from a car bomb. Welcome to Silent Warriors. Before we continue with this incredible story of courage, training, and hidden warriors, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. We're revealing the stories of invisible warriors among us. 15 minutes. That's how long 47 people had before the gas leak from the 12-car pileup turned Highway 71 into a fireball. 15 minutes before, twisted metal became a crematorium. But Mike Sullivan, the mechanic who stopped to help, had diffused deadlier situations than this. Much deadlier. February 6, 2024, 7:30 a.m. A winter storm was intensifying across northern Ohio. Visibility on Highway 71 was down to 30 feet. Mike Sullivan, 54, owner of Sullivan's Auto Repair, was driving to work, listening to weather warnings on the radio. Mike had been driving these roads for 30 years. He knew every weather condition, every dangerous curve. But this morning was different. The ice was thicker than normal, the wind more vicious. What Mike didn't know was that 2 miles ahead, 47 lives would be in his hands. At 7:42 a.m., he saw the first crash. A sedan had slid on ice and slammed into the guardrail. Mike slowed down, stopped. The driver didn't look injured, but the car was badly damaged. "You okay?" Mike shouted. The female driver nodded. "Yes, just scared." As Mike prepared to call an ambulance, the second crash happened. A pickup trying to avoid the sedan skidded and hit Mike's truck. Then came the third vehicle, the fourth, the fifth. In 3 minutes, Highway 71 had become a war zone. 12 vehicles had collided. Some were overturned, others tangled together. Mike got out of his truck and began assessing the situation. 30 years of mechanic experience had given him the ability to quickly analyze vehicle damage. But this time, it wasn't just engine damage. The first thing he noticed was the smell. Gasoline. A lot of gasoline. As Mike walked across the icy pavement, he saw it. 4 different vehicles were leaking fuel. One had formed a large pool under a pickup truck. The second thing he noticed was the sounds. People screaming, crying, calling for help. Some were trapped in their vehicles. The third thing Mike noticed made his blood run cold. Electrical wires. The storm had brought down power lines, and sparking cables were just 6 feet from the gasoline spill. "Nobody light a cigarette," Mike shouted. "Nobody try to start your engines." Some people looked at Mike, but most were panicking. A woman was crying hysterically. An elderly man was trapped in his car, trying to get out. Mike pulled out his cell phone. No signal. The storm had knocked out communication, affecting nearby cell towers. "Can anyone get through to 911?" he yelled. Several people checked their phones. Nobody had signal. Mike quickly assessed the situation. 47 people, 12 vehicles, gas leaks, sparking electrical cables, severe weather, no communication, rescue time at least 30 minutes. And that's when Mike Sullivan stopped being a mechanic and became Sergeant Sullivan, explosive ordnance disposal specialist. Something switched in Mike's mind. The protocols he'd learned in Iraq activated. Multiple explosive threat, civilian area, limited time, minimal equipment. Step 1, establish danger zone. Step 2, move people to safety. Step 3, eliminate ignition sources. Step 4, stop the leak. Mike ran to his truck, grabbed his toolbox. Inside were just normal mechanic tools, but Mike knew how to use them for different purposes. "Everyone listen to me," he shouted with commanding authority. In a panic, people need clear commands. Mike knew this. "I'm Mike Sullivan. I'm a mechanic. I'm going to get you out of here safely, but you need to do exactly what I tell you." What Mike didn't mention was that he'd used the same protocols on car bombs in Iraq. First, he identified the most critical situations. Elderly man trapped, gasoline smell in his car, pregnant woman in shock, can't get out of her vehicle. Two children crying in back seat, parents unconscious, young man with broken leg can't move. Mike established priority order. EOD training had taught him. Address the highest risk factor first. The elderly man's car was right next to the main gas leak. One spark would be enough. You, Mike pointed to a young woman, take care of the pregnant lady. Keep her calm. You, to someone else, get those children. Take them to the side of the road. Mike ran to the elderly man's car. And that's when the memories came back. Fallujah, extracting a pilot from a car bomb. The elderly man's car door was jammed. Mike pulled a crowbar from his toolbox, but this time he used it with the technique he'd learned in Iraq. Stay calm, sir, Mike told the elderly man. I'm getting you out. He positioned the crowbar at an angle against the door hinge. In Iraq, this was how they'd extracted pilots trapped in bombed vehicles. The door opened in 30 seconds. The elderly man was shaking but uninjured. Mike got him to the safe area. Second vehicle. The pregnant woman was hysterical. My baby's going to die, she was crying. Mike knelt beside the woman, softened his voice. What's your name? Linda. Linda, I'm Mike. How far along are you? 7 months. Mike checked her pulse. Normal, breathing normal, in shock but not critical. Linda, your baby is fine. You're both safe. Just breathe. Mike had rescued pregnant women in Iraq too, after car bomb attacks. Third vehicle, 2 children, parents unconscious. The mother was unconscious in the driver's seat but breathing. The father in the passenger seat had blood from his head but wasn't seriously injured. The children were 6 and 8 years old, crying. Hello? Mike said to the children. I'm Uncle Mike. Your mom and dad are okay. They're just sleeping. I'm going to take you somewhere safe. He got the children out of the car, left them with another adult. Fourth vehicle, young man, broken leg. Can you move? No, it hurts too much. Mike examined the leg. Not an open fracture, but dangerous to move. You're staying here. I'll keep you safe until help comes. But the main problem still wasn't solved. The electrical cables were still sparking. Mike refocused on the gas leak. 4 vehicles leaking, a large pool forming on the ground, electrical cables 6 feet away. In Iraq, he'd faced the same situation with car bombs. Fuel leak plus electricity equals explosion. Solution, either stop the leak or cut the electricity. He couldn't cut the power company's main lines, but he could stop the leak. Mike got large pieces of cloth, duct tape, and plastic bottles from his truck. First vehicle. The pickup's tank was punctured. Mike sealed the hole with cloth and tape, just like he'd patched fuel tanks in Iraq. Second vehicle. The sedan's fuel line was severed. Mike cut a plastic bottle to make a temporary cap. Third vehicle. The SUV's tank was completely crushed. This couldn't be stopped, but he could redirect the spill. Mike began digging channels to direct the gasoline away from the electrical cables. As he worked, he kept a countdown in his head. Fuel vapors were building up. Electrical cables were sparking. Every second, the explosion risk increased. Mike's hands were steady and precise, just like in Iraq. No panic, no rushed movements. The first rule taught to bomb disposal experts: don't hurry, you'll make mistakes. The people around him watched Mike work. His calm and professional demeanor had a calming effect on everyone. Who is this guy? Someone whispered. A mechanic, said another. Do mechanics work like this? The answer was no. But bomb disposal experts did. As Mike focused on controlling the gas leak, sirens could be heard in the distance. Fire department, police, and ambulances had finally arrived. The storm had lightened. Roads were starting to open. Fire Captain Jack Morrison approached Mike. Sir, I'm Morrison, Fire Department. We need to assess the situation. Mike continued working. 47 people, 12 vehicles, gas leaks from 4 vehicles, downed power lines. I've mostly stopped the leak, but there's still risk. Morrison was surprised. He hadn't expected such a detailed and professional assessment. Sir, who are you? Mike Sullivan, mechanic. Morrison examined Mike's work. The gas leak had stopped. Fuel was safely redirected. Sir, how did you manage this? This level of emergency response. Mike hesitated. He hadn't had this conversation in 12 years, and that's when Mike decided to tell the truth. Captain Morrison, Mike said, I'm not just a mechanic. Mike pulled an old faded military ID card from his pocket. Sergeant Mike Sullivan, U.S. Army, 89th EOD Company, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Specialist, 4 tours in Iraq. Morrison examined the ID. The photo showed a young Mike in uniform, serious expression. EOD? Morrison caught his breath. You're a bomb disposal expert? Retired. But the training never goes away. Morrison looked around. 47 people safe, gas leak under control, electrical threat neutralized. Sir, you saved 47 lives. But Mike's story wasn't over yet. 2 hours later, media arrived at the scene. Local news channels, reporters, cameras. Mike didn't want to give interviews, but Fire Chief Morrison insisted, Mike, people need to know, you're a hero. Mike stood in front of the television camera, still in work clothes, hands stained with grease. Sir, what's your name? The reporter asked. Mike Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, they say you saved 47 lives today. How did you do it? Mike paused. Training. What kind of training? Military training? EOD bomb disposal. The reporter's eyes widened. You're a bomb disposal expert? Was, retired. This interview would change Mike's life forever. The story aired that evening. Then, national networks picked it up. It went viral on social media. Hidden hero, mechanic was actually bomb disposal expert. 47 lives saved, Mike Sullivan's story. Iraq veteran creates highway miracle. Mike's phone started ringing non-stop. National media, talk shows, book offers. But Mike remained humble. I just did my job, he kept saying. The community's response surprised Mike. In the following days, Mike began receiving letters from the people he'd saved. Linda, the pregnant woman, wrote, Mr. Sullivan, my baby was born. I named him Michael, in your honor. Harold, the elderly man, wrote, I'm 75 years old, have 5 grandchildren. Because of you, I can see them again. The mother of the 2 children wrote, my kids keep talking about Uncle Mike. You're their hero. But the most moving letter came from the young man with the broken leg. Mr. Sullivan, I'm Ryan. I'm 22 and was thinking about joining the military. After seeing what you did that day, I've decided. I want to become an EOD specialist like you. I want to save people. Mike cried when he read this letter. Mike's garage, Sullivan's auto repair, became a local landmark. People came not just to fix their cars, but to see Mike. Military photos and medals were hung on the walls. Customers wanted to hear Iraq stories. But Mike would only say, what I did there is the same as what I do here. Help people. Mike's apprentices, young James and Maria, began to notice he worked differently. Boss, James said one day, you examine cars like they're bombs. Mike smiled. Every vehicle is potentially dangerous, James. Safety first. And Mike began teaching the young people, not just mechanics, but safety too. 6 months later, Mike's story became a book. 15 minutes from bomb disposal expert to mechanic hero. All proceeds were donated to veteran support organizations. Mike began speaking across the country. Veteran groups, schools, corporations invited him. The main message is this, Mike would say in his speeches. We all have a hero inside us. Training, experience, preparation. It kicks in at the critical moment. At a high school speech, a student asked, Mr. Sullivan, weren't you scared? Mike thought. Fear's always there, but training teaches you to manage fear. Fear makes you more careful. But Mike's biggest impact came from an unexpected place. Ryan, the young man with the broken leg, actually joined the Army to become an EOD specialist. From training camp, he wrote to Mike, Uncle Mike, training is tough, but your story motivates me. Someday I'll save people too. Linda's baby Michael grew up. His mother sent Mike photos every year. Harold, the elderly man, volunteered for the local disaster response team. I want to help others like Mike helped me. James and Maria, Mike's apprentices, didn't just become mechanics. They took emergency response training. Mike's garage became an informal training center. Young people would come to learn safety, leadership, crisis management from Mike. And 12 years later, the inspiration Mike gave began saving other lives. Today, Mike Sullivan still works at the same garage, still the same humble man, but no longer hidden. On his office wall hangs this sign: Heroism isn't a secret power. It's training, preparation, and the courage to do the right thing at the right moment. When customers ask, Mike says, 15 minutes changed my life. But those 15 minutes were made possible by 12 years of training and experience. The most important lesson: we're all heroes. We're just waiting for the opportunity. Mike's story shows us real heroes don't have to wear uniforms. Sometimes they work with greasy hands, in ordinary clothes, at humble workplaces. And when the critical moment comes, their training, experience, and courage save lives. 15 minutes, 47 lives in a mechanic's hands. So who are the hidden heroes in your community? The ordinary-looking people with extraordinary backgrounds? Tell us about them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Silent Warriors, because around every corner there's a story. In every ordinary person there might be extraordinary potential. See you in the next story. And remember, if you ever see a mechanic, cashier, or anyone working calmly and professionally during a crisis, they might have a secret heroic past like Mike. The most powerful stories don't shout, they wait. Just like heroes waiting for their critical moment.